Captain Tae-min stood in the center of the massive chamber, feeling smaller than he had ever felt in his life. The Galactic Council Hall stretched above him like a cathedral, with platforms floating at different heights. Strange beings sat on those platforms, looking down at him with eyes that held no warmth. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like they were made of living crystal. None of them looked human. Lieutenant Hana stood 3 steps behind him, her hand resting near her sidearm. She had insisted on coming despite the council's protests. Her eyes swept the chamber constantly, reading every movement and gesture. She did not trust these aliens, and her instincts were screaming warnings. Tae-min cleared his throat and began his speech. He had practiced it 100 times during the long journey from Earth. He spoke about humanity's achievements, their art and music, their capacity for cooperation and peace. He talked about the United Nations, about how humans had finally put aside their differences to reach for the stars together. He wanted them to see that Earth was ready to join the galactic community. The alien counselors listened in silence. Some appeared bored, others amused. A few whispered to each other in languages that the translation devices could not quite capture. Tae-min felt his confidence wavering but pressed on. He showed them images of Earth, its blue oceans and green forests, its cities gleaming under the sun. When he finished, silence filled the chamber. Then, one of the counselors began to laugh. The sound was like rocks grinding together. The being stood up, revealing a massive reptilian form covered in dark red scales. This was Counselor Vex Thor, leader of the militant faction. "A death world," Vex Thor announced, his voice booming across the chamber. "You come from a death world? Human. Your planet is a nightmare of natural disasters, predators, and violence. Your own history is written in blood." Tae-min straightened his shoulders. "We have evolved beyond our violent past. We come in peace. Everyone." "Peace?" Another counselor spoke up, this one resembling a large insect with multiple eyes. "Your species has fought wars for thousands of years. You have weapons that can destroy your own planet many times over. You call this peace? We have not used those weapons in over a century," Tae-min argued. "We have chosen a better path." Vex Thor descended from his platform, each step echoing through the chamber. He circled Tae-min like a predator studying prey. "You misunderstand the situation. Human, we do not fear what you are now. We fear what you could become. Your species has the capacity for extreme violence. You are apex predators, who somehow developed intelligence. You are dangerous." Hana's jaw tightened. She wanted to speak but knew protocol forbade it. She watched Vex Thor carefully, noting how the other counselors were nodding in agreement. "We are requesting membership, not permission," Tae-min said firmly. "We have achieved faster than light travel. We have proven ourselves worthy of joining the galactic community." "Worthy?" Vex Thor stopped in front of him. "Look at your companion. Even now," her hand hovers near her weapon. "Even in this hall of peace, you bring a soldier. This is your nature. You cannot help but prepare for war." "I brought her for security, which is standard protocol," Tae-min replied. "Security," Vex Thor repeated mockingly. "Because you assume danger everywhere. Because your death world instincts tell you to always be ready to fight. This proves my point exactly." End quote. Ambassador Krell, the neutral insectoid diplomat, spoke up. His voice was softer, more measured. "Perhaps we should give them a chance. Many species have overcome violent pasts. None came from worlds as harsh as theirs," Vex Thor countered. "I propose preemptive containment. We quarantine their system, allow them to develop further under observation. In perhaps 1,000 years, they might be ready." Tae-min felt anger rising in his chest. "You would imprison an entire species because of what we might do? This is injustice. This is wisdom," Vex Thor declared. "The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. We will not allow a species of predators to threaten that peace." The vote was called. Taemin watched in growing horror as platform after platform lit up with approval. Only Ambassador Krell and 2 others voted against the containment. It was not even close. Vexus Thor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The decision is made. You will return to your system. Council enforcement fleets will establish a quarantine perimeter. Any attempt to leave your system will be met with appropriate force. Perhaps your great-great-grandchildren will be civilized enough to join us. Taemin's hands clenched into fists. Hana stepped forward slightly, ready to act if needed. The captain took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. When he spoke, his voice was low and cold. You are making a terrible mistake. You judge us by your own fears, not by our actions. We came here in good faith, seeking friendship. You respond with imprisonment. You speak of our violent history, but today, you are the ones threatening force. Guard your tone, human, Vex Thor warned. I will speak my truth, Taemin continued. You do not understand what you are provoking. Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that would have destroyed weaker species. We have climbed from caves to the stars. We did not do this by accepting injustice. Vex Thor waved a clawed hand dismissively. Empty threats from a trapped animal. The decision stands. Hana touched her earpiece, her fingers moving in subtle gestures. She was recording everything, transmitting it all back to Earth Command through encrypted channels. Her face remained neutral, but her eyes burned with barely controlled fury. Taemin bowed stiffly, a gesture that held no respect. Then we will return to Earth. But remember this moment, counselor. Remember that you had a chance for friendship and chose hostility. Whatever happens next, you brought upon yourselves. He turned and walked toward the exit, Hana following close behind. The counselors watched them go, most with satisfaction, a few with concern. Ambassador Krell felt a strange chill run through his body. Something about the human's final words carried weight beyond simple anger. As the doors closed behind them, Vex Thor returned to his platform. A proud species, he remarked to the others. But pride means nothing against Council warships. Send the enforcement fleets immediately. I want that system locked down before they can cause trouble. The order was given. Ships began moving toward the Sol system. On their vessel heading back to Earth, Taemin sat in silence. Hana reviewed the recordings, ensuring everything was transmitted successfully. Sir, she said quietly. Command received everything. They are convening an emergency session. Taemin nodded slowly. They called us predators. They called us dangerous. They have no idea how right they are. Hana allowed herself a cold smile. Should we warn them again? No, Taemin replied. Let them learn. Some lessons must be taught in blood. The ship accelerated toward home, carrying news that would change everything. Behind them, the Council continued their business, confident in their decision. They had dealt with dangerous species before. These humans would be no different. They were wrong. Admiral Sang-woo watched the radar screens with growing dread. 16 unidentified vessels had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. They were not responding to hails. Their weapons were already charging. Sound the alarm, he ordered. Get me a line to Earth Defense Command immediately. The bridge of the orbital defense station erupted into controlled chaos. Officers rushed to their posts. Screens lit up with tactical data. Below them, Earth turned peacefully in space, unaware of what was coming. Sir, they're accelerating toward Earth, the tactical officer reported. Their weapons are hot. All platforms, battle stations, Sang-woo commanded. Deploy all fighters. Get our people ready. He knew it was not enough. Earth's defenses were designed to stop asteroids and small raiding parties, not a full military fleet. Humanity had built these stations hoping they would never be needed for actual war. That hope was about to die. The Council enforcement fleet opened fire without warning. Brilliant beams of energy crossed the darkness of space, striking Earth's outer defense platforms. Explosions bloomed silently in the vacuum. Sang-woo, watched 3 of his stations disappear in seconds. "Return fire," he roared. "All weapons, engage at will." Earth's railguns spun up, launching metal slugs at incredible speeds. Missiles streaked from launch tubes. The human fighters engaged, their pilots knowing they were likely flying to their deaths. They fought anyway, because that was what humans did. In Seoul, Dr. Yoonji was walking home from the research laboratory. The evening sky was clear and beautiful. She was thinking about her family waiting at home, about her daughter's upcoming birthday. She never saw the orbital strike coming. The energy beam hit the city center with the force of a nuclear weapon. Buildings vaporized instantly. The shockwaves spread outward, tearing apart everything in its path. Yoonji was thrown to the ground by the force, her ears ringing, her vision blurred. When she looked up, she saw hell on Earth. Half the city was simply gone, replaced by a crater still glowing with heat. Fires raged everywhere. People were screaming, running, dying. She tried to stand, but her legs would not work properly. "Ji-won," she whispered, thinking of her daughter. Sang-ho, her husband's name. They were at home. Home was in the direction of the crater. Another beam struck Mumbai. Then Sao Paulo. Then Lagos. The council ships were methodically destroying Earth's major population centers. Millions died in the first 10 minutes. The attacks were not military strikes. They were executions. Corporal Min Young was stationed at the Busan military base when the attack began. She watched the news feeds in horror as city after city burned. Her commanding officer was shouting orders, organizing evacuations, preparing for ground assault. Min Young could barely hear him over the sound of her own heart breaking. "Seoul is gone," someone said nearby. "They just killed millions." Min Young felt something change inside her. Fear turned to ice-cold rage. She checked her rifle, loaded fresh magazines, and waited. If these aliens wanted to kill humans, she would teach them that humans could kill back. In space, Admiral Sang-woo was fighting a losing battle. His fleet was being torn apart. The council ships had better shields, better weapons, better everything, but they did not have better courage. Every human ship that died took chunks out of the enemy before going down. "Sir, we need to retreat," his second officer urged. "We cannot win this." "Negative," Sang-woo started to say, but then he saw the tactical situation clearly. His officer was right. If they stayed, they would all die. And Earth would have no defenders at all. "All ships," he said, his voice heavy with grief and shame. "We live to fight another day." The human fleet disengaged, using their smaller size and speed to escape. The council ships did not pursue. They had achieved their objective. Earth was burning. Ground assault ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. Colonel Hyun-sik watched them land from his command bunker. His orders were clear, but impossible. Defend the survivors and repel the invasion with whatever forces remained. "How many troops do we have?" he asked. "Maybe 2 million combat-ready worldwide," his aide replied. "The orbital strikes hit most of our major bases. And them? Unknown. At least 100,000 already on the ground. More coming." Hyun-sik nodded slowly. "Then we make every human worth 100 of theirs. Pass the word to all units. No mercy, no surrender, no retreat. They came to exterminate us. We show them that humans do not die easily." The council troops advanced into the ruined cities, expecting minimal resistance. They found hell instead. Human soldiers fought from every shadow, every pile of rubble, every burned-out building. Civilians joined the fight with whatever weapons they could find. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had something else. The fury of a species fighting for its very survival. Dr. Yoonji regained consciousness in a makeshift medical tent. Her body was broken, but alive. A nurse was bandaging her wounds. Around her, hundreds of injured people lay on cots, moaning in pain. "My family," Yoonji managed to say. The nurse looked at her with eyes full of sorrow and shook her head. Unji understood. Her husband and daughter were dead, vaporized in the first strike. Everything she loved was gone. She should have wept. Instead, she felt only emptiness. And beneath that emptiness, a burning core of hatred, so pure, it terrified her. She was a scientist, a pacifist. Someone who had dedicated her life to understanding the universe. Now she wanted only one thing: revenge. "I can still work," she told the nurse. "My hands still function. Take me to whoever is coordinating the defense. I have knowledge they can use." On Mars, Admiral Sangwoo's surviving fleet regrouped. They had lost 60% of their forces in the retreat. The men and women under his command looked at him with haunted eyes. They had left Earth burning behind them. "Sir," the communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving emergency broadcasts from Earth. The Council troops are. They are processing survivors." "Processing?" Sangwoo asked, though he already knew the answer. "Executions, sir. Systematic extermination. They are broadcasting it on all channels, warning us not to resist further." Sangwoo closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they held no trace of humanity's famous mercy. "Send a message to all surviving military units, all hidden bases, every ship we have left. Tell them we are not defeated. Tell them we are regrouping. And tell them that every human death will be repaid 1,000-fold." He looked at the image of Earth on his screen, its surface scarred by the attacks. They wanted to see what a death world produces. They wanted to see predators. "We will show them. We will show them what happens when you hurt humanity's children." In the bunkers and hidden bases across the solar system, the message was received. Humanity's military began to gather in secret, planning, preparing. They had been caught off guard, nearly destroyed. But humans had survived worse. They had climbed from the caves to the stars, and they would not be pushed back into darkness. The Council had made their first mistake by dismissing humanity. Now they had made their second by attacking without destroying them completely. There would not be a third mistake, because humanity would not give them the chance. The war had begun, and Earth would have its vengeance. The hidden facility on Mars looked like a natural canyon from above. Below the surface, it stretched for kilometers, housing some of humanity's darkest secrets. Director Jae-sung walked through corridors that officially did not exist, past laboratories where scientists worked on weapons that were never supposed to be built. General Boram was waiting for him in the main conference room. Around the table sat the remnants of Earth's military leadership, faces haggard from lack of sleep and heavy with grief. They had spent 3 days watching their homeworld burn. Now it was time to plan their response. "Thank you all for coming," Jae-sung began. "I know many of you have lost family and friends. I have too. But we cannot mourn yet. We mourn after we make them pay." He activated the holographic display. Images of strange weapons appeared in the air above the table. "For 50 years, we have developed weapons we prayed we would never use. Weapons that violated every treaty, every ethical boundary. We kept them secret, locked away, because we were trying to be civilized." Admiral Sangwoo leaned forward. "And now? Now civilization is dead," Jae-sung replied coldly. "They killed it when they bombed our cities. These weapons are online and ready for deployment." The first image showed a simple metal rod. "Relativistic kinetic weapons. We accelerate these to 90% of light speed and drop them on a planet. Each one hits with the force of multiple nuclear weapons. No defense can stop them because by the time you see them coming, they have already hit." General Boram studied the image. "How many do we have?" 342, mounted on ships currently hiding in the Kuiper Belt, Jae-sung answered. The next image was more disturbing. It showed microscopic machines, self-replicating nanophage. Once deployed on a planet's surface, they consume industrial materials, metals, plastics, and semiconductors. They turn factories into dust, ships into scrap, cities into ruins. They are programmed to die after 72 hours, but the damage they cause is permanent. That is a war crime, someone objected. War crimes only matter if you lose, Jae-sung said flatly. They committed genocide against us. I will not shed tears over their factories. The third weapon made everyone uncomfortable. Quantum entangled singularity bombs. Each one creates a temporary black hole. Very small, very brief, but enough to tear apart anything within a kilometer radius. We have 12. 1. The room was silent. These were weapons of mass destruction. Tools of extinction. They were exactly what the Council had feared humanity might create. There is more, Jae-sung continued. But I want you all to understand something. Using these weapons will change us. We will become the monsters they accused us of being. Some of you may not be able to live with that. If you want to leave, do so now. No one will judge you. No one moved. They had all seen the footage from Earth. They had watched cities burn and civilians executed. The time for mercy had passed. Dr. Yoonji entered the room, supported by a cane. Her body was still healing from the Seoul bombing. She had been recruited 3 days ago when someone remembered her work on quantum physics. Now she was part of the war effort, using her brilliant mind to turn science into slaughter. Dr. Yoonji. General Bo-ram acknowledged her. Your report? She moved to the display, her hands shaking slightly. My research was on quantum entanglement communication. Peaceful application. But the mathematics also apply to weaponization. I have modified the singularity bomb designs. They are 30% more efficient now. Her voice was hollow, empty of emotion. The woman who had loved science for its own sake was gone. In her place was someone who had lost everything and wanted only to see the same loss inflicted on her enemies. Captain Young-ho stood up next. He was Special Operations, a man trained to fight in the shadows. My teams have been gathering intelligence. We infiltrated Council supply lines, hacked their communications, interrogated captured soldiers. We now have coordinates for their homeworlds. He brought up a star map. Several systems were marked in red. These are military targets. Shipyards, training facilities, command centers. More systems appeared in orange. These are civilian targets, population centers, agricultural worlds, industrial hubs. Admiral Sang-woo stared at the orange markers. You want us to target civilians? They targeted ours. Young-ho replied simply, 15% of Earth's population is dead. We should repay them exactly the same. The room erupted in argument. Some agreed immediately, hungry for revenge. Others hesitated, clinging to the idea that humanity should be better than its enemies. General Bo-ram let them argue for several minutes before calling for silence. This is not a decision we make lightly, she said. But let me ask you all a question. What message do we send if we show mercy to those who showed us none? The Council will see it as weakness. They will do this again to someone else. And if we strike civilians, we prove them right, someone argued. We prove we are the monsters they claimed. They already think we are monsters, Jae-sung said. The question is whether we are monsters who win or monsters who die. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Admiral Sang-woo spoke up. I will tell you what I think. The Council made one decision when they attacked us. They decided that our lives have no value, that our children can be vaporized, that our cities can be erased. They made that decision. Now, we get to make ours. He looked around the table. I say we show them what their decision cost. We strike their military, yes, but we also strike their homes. We make them feel what we felt. We make them understand that attacking Earth has consequences. And then, maybe, they will never do this to anyone else again. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would retaliate with overwhelming force against both military and civilian targets. It was cruel, it was brutal, but after what they had seen, cruelty seemed justified. General Boram began organizing the strategy. We hit 5 worlds simultaneously. They will not have time to reinforce each other. Captain Young-ho, your teams deploy the nanophage on their industrial worlds. Cripple their capacity to build more ships. Admiral Sang-woo, you command the fleet. Use the relativistic weapons on their military installations first. Then, their cities. Dr. Yoon-ji, the singularity bombs are reserved for their most heavily defended targets. Jae-sung added his own orders. I want every ship equipped with enough firepower to level a continent. I want our soldiers trained in boarding actions. When we take their ships, I want them to understand what close combat with humans means. For 2 weeks, they prepared. Ships were armed, crews were trained, weapons were tested. Dr. Yoon-ji worked 18-hour days, refining the designs, making sure nothing would fail. She barely slept, barely ate. When people asked if she was okay, she just smiled emptily and kept working. Captain Young-ho trained his special operations teams in zero-gravity combat. They practiced breaching hulls, fighting in corridors, and adapting to alien biology. They learned where each council species kept their vital organs and how to exploit those weaknesses. Lieutenant Hana, who had returned from the council chambers with Captain Tae-min, now led marine assault teams. She had watched Earth burn from orbit, unable to help. Now she would make someone pay for every death. The night before deployment, Admiral Sang-woo addressed the assembled fleet. Thousands of people watched him on screens throughout the hidden bases. Tomorrow, we go to war, he said. Not a war of defense, not a war of survival, but a war of vengeance. The council thinks we are defeated. They think we will surrender and accept their judgment. They are wrong. He paused, letting his words sink in. We are going to hurt them. We are going to hurt them so badly that they will remember this for generations. They showed us what they think mercy is. Now let us show them what we think justice is. Cheers erupted across the fleet. These were not the cheers of heroes going to a righteous battle. These were the savage cries of wounded predators preparing to strike back. In her quarters, Dr. Eun-ji looked at a photo of her family. She touched her daughter's face on the screen, remembering her laugh. Then she deleted the photo. Memories were weakness now. She needed to be strong enough to do what must be done. The fleets began moving into position. Human ships, loaded with weapons that violated every law of civilized warfare, prepared to jump to faster-than-light speeds. Their targets were already marked. The crews knew many of them would not return. Director Jae-sung watched from Mars as the ships departed. He felt no satisfaction, no righteousness, only grim necessity. Humanity had tried to be peaceful. The Council had responded with genocide. Now humanity would respond in kind. Operation Reckoning is go, General Boram announced. The ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, carrying humanity's rage across the stars. The Council was about to learn why you should never corner a predator from a death world. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect synchronization. 5 separate battle groups appeared in 5 different star systems, all belonging to Council member species. The element of surprise was total and absolute. Admiral Sang-woo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays light up with targets. Before him hung the homeworld of Counselor Vex Thor's species, a planet of red deserts and sprawling cities. It was beautiful. In 10 minutes, it would be burning. Launch relativistic weapons, he ordered. Target the population centers first. His weapons officer hesitated for just a moment. They made them targets when they bombed Seoul, Sang-woo replied coldly. Fire. The metal rods launched from the human ships, accelerated to 90% of light speed by magnetic rails. They crossed the distance to the planet in seconds. By the time the planet's defense systems detected them, They had already entered the atmosphere. The first rod struck the capital city. The impact vaporized everything within 5 kilometers instantly. The shockwave flattened buildings for 30 kilometers in every direction. A mushroom cloud rose into the atmosphere, visible from space. Before the dust had settled, 4 more strikes hit other major cities. Vex Thor's species had a population of 8 billion. In the first minute of the attack, 50 million died. Council Defense Fleet is responding, the tactical officer reported. 32 capital ships, closing fast. Engage them, Sangwoo commanded. Show no mercy. The human ships moved to intercept. They were outnumbered, but they fought with a ferocity that shocked their enemies. Human pilots did not retreat. When damaged, they accelerated toward enemy ships and rammed them, detonating their reactors in suicide attacks that took out much larger vessels. On another world, Captain Young Ho and his special operations team materialized inside an industrial complex. They wore stealth suits that bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. Each carried sealed containers of nanophage. Deploy and extract, Young Ho ordered. We have 5 minutes before security responds. His team moved through the facility with practiced efficiency. They opened the containers in key locations, releasing trillions of microscopic machines. The nanophage began consuming everything made of metal or plastic, reproducing exponentially as they fed. Within an hour, the entire industrial sector would be reduced to dust. Ships under construction would collapse into scrap. Factories would crumble. The planet's industrial capacity would be set back by decades. Young Ho and his team extracted before the effects became visible. As their ship jumped away, they watched the factory district begin to dissolve like sugar in water. No one had died yet, but millions would lose their livelihoods. The planet's economy would collapse. Lieutenant Hana led her Marines in a boarding action against a council cruiser. They breached the hull, using shaped charges, then poured into the corridors, in zero gravity. The alien crew tried to mount a defense, but they were not prepared for human close combat. Humans had evolved on a world where predators hunted in packs. They had instincts for coordinated violence that the council species lacked. Hana's team moved like sharks through the ship, overwhelming defenders with brutal efficiency. Bridge secured, she reported. Reactor room secured. Engineering secured. Ship is ours. Good work, Admiral Sangwoo responded. Evacuate the survivors to escape pods, then ram that ship into their orbital defense platform. Hana acknowledged the order. Her team herded the alien crew into escape pods and ejected them. Then she programmed the cruiser's navigation system for a collision course. The ship accelerated toward the massive defense platform, its reactor overloading. The resulting explosion took out the entire platform and 3 smaller ships that were docked there. On Vex Thor's homeworld, panic had set in. The government was trying to coordinate evacuations, but there was nowhere safe to go. The human ships in orbit controlled the high ground. Every few minutes, another relativistic weapon fell from the sky, erasing another city. Counselor Vex Thor himself was in a bunker deep underground, watching his world die. He had started this war with confidence, certain that humanity could be easily contained. Now his people were paying the price for his arrogance. How many dead? He asked his aide. 150 million, and rising, came the response. They are targeting everything, military and civilian alike. Our fleet cannot stop them. Where are the reinforcements from the other council worlds? They are under attack too. Vex Thor closed his eyes. This was his fault. He had pushed for the attack on Earth. He had convinced the council that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to join. Now humanity was proving him right in the worst possible way. In space above the planet, Admiral Sang-woo received reports from the other attack groups. All were proceeding according to plan. Council fleets were being destroyed. Cities were burning. Industrial capacity was being systematically eliminated. Sir, we have achieved 15% casualties on 3 of the 5 target worlds, his intelligence officer reported. That matches the percentage they inflicted on Earth. Continue the attack, Sang-woo ordered. "I want them to understand completely." But something in his voice had changed. He had imagined this moment would feel satisfying, like justice being served. Instead, he felt hollow. He was watching cities burn, just like the Council had burned Earth's cities. He was killing millions, just like they had killed millions. They were no longer the victims. They had become the monsters. Dr. Yoonji was aboard a specialized ship, preparing to deploy a singularity bomb. Her target was a heavily fortified military command center, buried deep inside an asteroid. Conventional weapons could not reach it. She armed the device herself, her hands steady despite the magnitude of what she was doing. The bomb launched, accelerated toward the asteroid, and detonated. For 3 seconds, a tiny black hole existed in normal space, its gravity tearing apart everything nearby. When it collapsed, the asteroid was gone. So was the command center and the 15,000 military personnel inside it. Yoonji watched the debris field spread and felt nothing. Her capacity for emotion had died in soul along with her family. "Target destroyed," she reported mechanically. "Ready for next assignment." The battle raged for 48 hours. Human forces fought with a desperation born of rage and grief. They employed tactics that violated every rule of civilized warfare. Ships that were disabled did not surrender. They self-destructed in the midst of enemy formations. Pilots whose fighters were damaged rammed them into larger vessels. Soldiers who were cornered fought to the death, taking as many enemies with them as possible. The Council forces, who had fought wars for thousands of years according to strict rules and protocols, could not comprehend this level of savagery. They expected rationality, negotiation, and surrender when defeat was inevitable. Humans offered none of these things. Captain Taemin, who had stood before the council chamber just weeks ago pleading for peace, now commanded a destroyer in the thick of battle. His ship was damaged, leaking atmosphere, but still fighting. When a council cruiser demanded his surrender, he laughed. "You wanted to see savages?" He broadcast on all frequencies. "Look around you. This is what savages do. We are not some civilized species that will accept defeat gracefully. We are predators from a death world. And you made the mistake of wounding us." His ship accelerated toward the cruiser, all weapons firing. He took out their engines and left them drifting, helpless, as his ship jumped away to the next target. By the end of the second day, 3 of the 5 targeted worlds had sued for peace. Their governments broadcast unconditional surrender on all channels, begging humanity to stop. Admiral Sang-woo ordered ceasefire for those 3 worlds. The other 2, including Vex's Thor's homeworld, continued to fight. "How many dead across all targets?" General Boram asked from Mars Command. "Approximately 400 million total," the intelligence officer reported. "Industrial capacity reduced by 60 to 70% on all targeted worlds. Fleet strength of participating council species reduced by 40%. And our losses? 20% of deployed forces, 3,000 dead, 8,000 wounded. The numbers were staggering. Humanity had killed hundreds of millions in 2 days. They had crippled species that had existed for thousands of years. They had done exactly what the Council feared they would do. Admiral Sang-woo broadcast one final message to the remaining Council forces. His face appeared on screens across multiple star systems. Haggard and cold. "You came to our world and killed our children. You bombed our cities and executed our civilians. You thought we would surrender. You were wrong. This is the price of attacking Earth. Remember it. Tell your leaders. Tell everyone. Humanity will not forget. And humanity will not forgive." He cut the transmission and ordered the fleet to hold position. The point had been made. Now they would wait to see how the Council responded. On Vex's Thor's homeworld, the Counselor finally emerged from his bunker. His capital city was gone, replaced by a crater that glowed with residual heat. 50 other cities had suffered the same fate. His people were broken, traumatized, defeated. He had learned the lesson humanity wanted to teach. Some species should not be provoked. Some predators were more dangerous when wounded than when healthy. Earth had tried to be civilized, and the Council had rejected that attempt. Now the Council was learning what happened when you force humanity to embrace its savage nature. The lesson was written in fire, across the sky of 5 different worlds. 3 months had passed since the Retaliation. The Galactic Council chamber looked different now. Half the platforms stood empty, their occupants dead or their governments too damaged to send representatives. The air held a tension that had never existed in 10,000 years of Council history. Admiral Sang-woo entered the chamber, but he did not enter alone. Behind him marched Lieutenant Hana and a full platoon of human marines in combat armor. Above the chamber, visible through the transparent dome, hung a fleet of human warships. They had not asked for permission to enter Council space. They had simply come. The remaining counselors watched in silence as Sang-woo walked to the center of the chamber. He did not bow. He did not show deference. He stood like a conqueror in occupied territory, which, in a sense, he was. Ambassador Krell, one of the few who had voted against the original containment, opened the session. His voice was weary, aged by the horrors he had witnessed. Admiral Sang-woo, humanity has requested this emergency session. The Council has agreed to hear your terms. Terms? Sang-woo repeated. You misunderstand. I am not here to negotiate. I am here to dictate. Murmurs spread through the chamber. No one had ever spoken to the Council this way, but no one dared interrupt. They had seen what happened to those who underestimated humanity. Humanity demands the following, Sang-woo continued. First, immediate reparations for the damage inflicted on Earth. Every species that participated in the attack will contribute resources to rebuild our world. Second, complete autonomy for human space. No Council ships, no Council oversight, no Council interference of any kind. Third, human representatives will join the Council Military Oversight Committee with full veto power over offensive operations. That is outrageous, one counselor objected. You cannot simply dictate terms to the Council. Sang-woo turned to face the speaker. Can I not? Your fleet is destroyed. Your worlds are burning. You attacked us and lost. These are not negotiations. This is the price of your survival. Dr. Yoonji stepped forward, her cane clicking on the floor. She looked thinner than before. Her eyes, hollow. I was a scientist, she said quietly. I studied the universe because I loved understanding how things worked. I had a family, a daughter who wanted to be an astronaut, a husband who made me laugh. Her voice hardened. They died in the first orbital strike on Seoul, along with 4 million others. You killed them without warning, without mercy. And now you dare to call our response outrageous? The chamber fell silent. Several counselors looked away, unable to meet her gaze. Ambassador Krell spoke carefully. Dr. Yoonji, what happened to Earth was a tragedy, but the response, the civilian casualties your species inflicted, surely you understand that this cycle of violence cannot continue. Then you should not have started it. Yoonji replied coldly. Another counselor, one whose species had not participated in the attack, attempted mediation. Perhaps we can find a middle ground. The Council acknowledges that mistakes were made. Counselor Vex Thor exceeded his authority. Where is Vex Thor? Sang-woo demanded. In custody, Krell replied. Awaiting trial for war crimes. Bring him here. Now. There was hesitation, but the Council complied. Counselor Vex Thor was brought into the chamber in restraints. He looked broken, his scales dull, his movements slow. His homeworld had lost 200 million people. His government had collapsed. His legacy was destruction. He looked at Sang-woo with eyes that held no defiance, only defeat. I was wrong. Ah. He said simply. I thought I was protecting the galaxy. Instead, I nearly destroyed my own species. You were not wrong about what we could become, Sang-woo replied. You were wrong to think you could stop us. You should have accepted our friendship. Instead, You earned our enmity. What will happen to me? Vexthor asked. You will stand trial for genocide, Sangwoo said. But not here. On Earth. You will face the survivors of the cities you destroyed. They will decide your fate. The council erupted in protest. You cannot remove a counselor from our jurisdiction, someone shouted. This violates every treaty. Your treaties mean nothing to us, Sangwoo said flatly. You violated the most basic law when you attacked a peaceful species without provocation. We do not recognize your authority anymore. We recognize only strength, and right now, we are stronger than you. Lieutenant Hana stepped forward. I was in the council chambers when Captain Taemin pleaded for peace. I memorized every face that voted for the attack. She gestured to the human Marines. We remember. We have records. Every species that supported the attack on Earth is marked. If any of you ever threaten humanity again, we will not stop at 5 worlds. We will burn 100. We will turn your entire civilization into a cautionary tale. This is terrorism, a counselor protested. No, Director Jae-sung said, entering the chamber. This is evolution. You wanted to keep us contained because you feared we would become monsters. You were right to fear, but wrong about when. We became monsters the moment you attacked us. You created the very thing you feared. He walked to stand beside Sangwoo. Humanity tried to join your peaceful galaxy. We offered friendship, cooperation, and shared knowledge. You responded with genocide. Now you complain that we are violent? You made us violent. You reminded us that the universe is not civilized. It is merely temporarily peaceful. And that peace only lasts as long as the strong permit it. Ambassador Krell raised his hands for calm. Please. This session is meant to establish peace, not escalate tensions. The Council is willing to accept your terms. We will provide reparations. We will recognize human autonomy. We will reform our military oversight. And one more thing, Sangwoo added. From this day forward, humanity has a permanent seat on the Council with full voting rights. Not as petitioners, not as probationary members, but as equals. That is impossible, someone objected. It took our species thousands of years to earn Council membership. We earned it in 3 months, Sangwoo said. We earned it with blood and fire. If you want to vote against it, please do. I am curious to see which species are willing to risk another demonstration of human determination. The vote was called. Every counselor present voted in favor. It was not out of respect or friendship. It was out of fear. They had seen what humanity could do when provoked. They did not want to see it again. The motion passes, Krell announced wearily. Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities. May this mark the beginning of peace between our peoples. Sangwoo nodded. Peace. Yes. As long as everyone remembers what maintaining that peace requires. The human delegation left the chamber. Behind them, the counselors sat in stunned silence. In 10,000 years of council history, no species had ever joined through military force. No species had ever dictated terms to the council itself. But then, no species like humanity had ever existed in the galaxy before. Aboard his flagship, Sangwoo looked at Earth through the view screen. The planet was still scarred, still healing, but it survived. Humanity survived. That was what mattered. Dr. Yoonji joined him. Do you think this will last? She asked. The peace? As long as they remember to fear us, Sangwoo replied. Fear is not friendship, but it prevents war. For now, that will have to be enough. We have become what they accused us of being, Yoonji said. We are the monsters now. Yes, Sangwoo agreed. But we are living monsters. The alternative was to be dead innocents. I prefer being alive. Back on Earth, in a bunker that now served as temporary government headquarters, General Bo Ram reviewed the final casualty reports. Earth had lost 1.3 billion people. The Council had lost over 400 million across 5 worlds. The numbers were staggering. Captain Young-ho entered her office. The final teams have returned. All weapons are accounted for. The nanophage has finished its programmed lifespan and dissolved. And the other weapons? Bo Ram asked. The ones we did not use? Still in storage, still ready. We developed over 30 weapon systems. We only deployed 5. The rest remain classified. Bo Ram nodded slowly. Good. Let them wonder what else we have. Let them stay afraid. Young-ho hesitated. General, do you think we did the right thing? No, she replied honestly. But I think we did the necessary thing. The Council taught us that the galaxy respects only strength. So we showed them our strength. History will judge whether we were right or wrong. For now, we are alive. And that is what matters. 3 months later, Counselor Vexthor stood trial on Earth. Billions watched as the survivors confronted him with their loss. He was found guilty of genocide and sentenced to life imprisonment. He would spend the rest of his days on Earth, a reminder of what happens when you underestimate humanity. Dr. Yoon-ji visited his cell once. She looked at the being who had destroyed her life and felt only emptiness. I should hate you, she said. But I don't feel anything anymore. You took my capacity to feel when you killed my family. Vexthor looked at her with tired eyes. I destroyed my own species trying to protect the galaxy from yours. The irony is not lost on me. Mino. You were not protecting anyone, Yoon-ji said. You were just afraid. And fear made you cruel. Now that cruelty has made us cruel too. We are all monsters now. She left without another word. Outside the prison, she looked up at the sky where human warships patrolled, ensuring no one would ever attack Earth again. The price of security was high, paid in blood and innocence. In the rebuilt Galactic Council chambers, humanity took its seat among the other species. Admiral Sang-woo represented Earth, flanked by military advisors and diplomats. The other counselors gave them respectful distance, not out of friendship, but out of memory. They remembered the burning worlds. They remembered the relativistic strikes. They remembered that humanity, when wounded, had struck back with a savagery that shocked the galaxy. They remembered, and they feared, and in that fear, there was peace. But late at night, in the hidden facilities scattered across the solar system, Director Jae-sung continued his work. New weapons were designed. New strategies were planned. Because humanity had learned the most important lesson the galaxy could teach. Peace was not permanent. Safety was not guaranteed. And the only way to ensure your species survived was to be strong enough that no one dared attack you. Humanity had joined the galactic community, but they had joined it as predators, not as prey. And everyone knew that predators, once wounded, never truly rested. The galaxy had wanted to see what a death world produced. Now they knew. Now they would never forget. And humanity, scarred but unbroken, watched the stars with eyes that had seen both the best and worst of what they could become. They had tried to be civilized. They had tried to be peaceful. The galaxy had rejected that attempt. Now the galaxy would have to live with what they created instead.